Welcome to the Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw, author, body confidence coach, and founder of The Embodied Woman and 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You'll also find me on the yoga mat hosting retreats here in Australia and internationally. Each week, I chat with incredible women around self-belief, body acceptance, and embracing who we are, especially in midlife. We share real stories, challenge outdated beauty standards, and grow together through honest conversations. I am so glad you are here. Enjoy. This week's guest from the Body Love Revolution Online Summit is none other than the incredible Shelly Horton, who is a TV journalist. She is also an author. Her recent book has just launched and you can get your hands on a copy. When we recorded this interview, it actually wasn't out yet. So I'm Your Peri Godmother is the name of it. Shelly talks very candidly in this interview together about her own journey. She has some great facts, some great tips, and really essential information that helps us women navigate this stage of perimenopause or menopause. She also introduced me to the concept of the 0 day. She shares about that. I ask her about that in this interview, which I think is just such a great thing to bring into your life. No doubt you will enjoy this conversation. Shelly is witty, she is funny, she is honest, she is truthful. And I cannot wait to hear your feedback. Please always drop me a line, send me an email or an Instagram message. And if you like this podcast, I would really love if you shared a review or you passed it on to someone that might enjoy it. I'm so happy you found me. Enjoy. A big warm welcome to the Body Love Revolution Summit, building a better relationship with your body. I am so delighted to have Shelly Horton today. I can't believe she said yes, actually, because she is a woman with a calendar. But let me share a little bit about Shelly and her beautiful work in the world. Well, lots of her beautiful work in the world, but particularly around women today, we are going to be talking. So Shelly Horton is the personification of confidence. She is a TV journalist, a sought-after MC, a women's health advocate that runs her own company called ShellShocked Media, where she teaches speakers and media training. She runs Speak with Impact workshops. Her 30-year career encompasses significant roles, including 11 years at the ABC, 8 years at Channel 7, 6 years with Fairfax, and 5 years for ET America. And in her current 9-year stint at Channel 9, Shelly has been weekly featured on Today and Today Extra. Shelly's a women's health advocate, speaking up and campaigning in Parliament to destigmatise taboo topics such as menopause, choosing to be child-free, heavy periods, and particular perimenopausal depression. Her book, drumroll please, coming out, I'm Your Peri Godmother, is coming out on the 29th of July, 2025. So when we go live, massive congratulations, Shelly. When we go live, there's going to be the opportunity for pre-sales, and that link is in our show notes. Welcome, Shelly.
Oh, what a lovely intro. It does make me feel exhausted. Even I'm like, wow, I do a lot. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here, and I am always going to carve out time for you because I love the work that you do.
Oh, thank you, Shelly. Well, likewise, I love the work you do, and particularly your story. I would love for you, for our listeners, your relationship with your body, and particularly coming into perimenopause, menopause. Would you like to please share with us your perimenopause story?
Yeah, but I just kind of need to give a caveat at the very beginning and letting women know I am kind of a worst case scenario. There are, 80% of women will get perimenopausal symptoms, but there's 20% that will have severe symptoms. And I reckon I fall into like the top 2% of the absolute worst. I feel like I was at the top of the perimenopause tree and hit every symptom on the branches on the way down. But it all started for me when I was 45. I'm 51 now. So it was back in 2020. Do you remember there was something going on in 2020? Oh, that's right, COVID. So when I started experiencing my perimenopausal symptoms, I just figured it was stress. So the first symptom that hit me was I started getting like palpitations and that tightness in my chest where I couldn't breathe very well. And I haven't ever had depression or anxiety before. So, but I figured that was probably what anxiety felt like. And I figured everyone's feeling that. It's the pandemic, right? Then I kind of felt about 3 degrees hotter. So I wasn't having hot flushes like you see in the movies, where it's like, oh my God, peel my clothes off. It was just that I just felt hotter. And to be fair, I had put on a few COVID kilos because I'd been comfort eating again, as everyone had. Um, and so I just sort of, again, didn't really know what was going on. I then started to get some perimenopausal depression. Now, as I just said, I've never had mental health issues before in my life, which I know is very rare. But for perimenopausal women, it's 1 in 3 will get perimenopausal depression and anxiety. So it's something that we really need to be aware of. Now, all of this can be written off as stress, but it's all perimenopausal symptoms. The trouble is, I'd never even heard the word perimenopause before. My mother hadn't spoken to me about it. My mother is very much from that generation of you don't talk about things like that. It's secret women's business, stiff upper lip, that kind of generation. And that's not her fault. That's just her generation. But also, because I grew up in country Queensland, I moved away straight away at the end of high school to go to university and for my career. So a lot of my friends are not the same age group as me. Most of them are about 10 years younger. I kind of tend to vibe with younger people. So I didn't have any friends going through it at the same time. So I was just completely lost. So I really just persevered for months and months. And then it wasn't until I mean, I'm love that this is, mainly girls because I had a Marina IUD. And can I say, I wanted to marry my Marina because I'd had heavy periods my entire life. And the Marina actually stopped them completely. So I'd had 3 Marinas, I'd had them replaced. So I hadn't had a period for 12 years. Oh, heaven. Um, and then in September 2020, I had what could only be described as an Armageddon period. I bled through my clothes
Mm.
and it terrified me. I didn't even have tampons in the house because why would I? So it was still COVID. We weren't in full lockdown, but it was like even going to a doctor was a bit stressful. So I decided I did need to go and see a doctor because it was so scary. Unfortunately, I don't have a family GP. Again, I've moved around a lot for my work, so I'm a little bit of a tight ass, and I go and try and find someone who bulk bill. So
Yeah.
that's what you do. So I just went to a medical center and I did ask for a female GP, and I told her all of my symptoms, and she just went, "Oh, with that sort of bleeding, it could be cancer. You might have uterine cancer." I'm like, "What?" Or cervical cancer. I'm like, "What?" And she's like, and look, we'll send you off. We'll do an internal ultrasound to check for tumors. And like, all of these words are terrifying me. And
Yeah.
then she said, and we'll do a blood test to check your hormones. And I didn't know anything about this. So I went off. Luckily, it was only a couple of days until I got to go back because I was convinced I had cancer. Like
Oh, no.
your head goes there. I got back to the GP and she said, "Great news, you haven't got cancer and your hormone levels are all fine. You must just be stressed. So maybe you should take up a hobby." And that was it. And that was
That was
it.
it.
No advice, no, she like, and this is how I've since found out most GPs have had zero training in perimenopause and menopause, which I find offensive considering it affects 51% of the population and 100% of women who live long enough will go into perimenopause and menopause. But that's just the way our health system is at the moment. So I drove home in floods of tears, blaming myself. I've done this to me. I'm not handling my stress. This is all my fault, which I know a lot of women will relate to.
Yeah.
And The unfortunate thing about that is I was also brought up in that generation from my mother's thoughts of doctors are gods, and whatever they say,
That's
that's what
true.
goes.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore. I do not feel that way anymore. But so what happened to me is I didn't actually seek any treatment for another 9 months. And unfortunately, what happened was the perimenopausal depression grabbed me severely. And now I look back and it was classic. I was having days I couldn't get out of bed. I was not showering for 3 days. I was crying nearly every day. And you know me, I am a very bubbly person. So it was very out of character for me. But when you're in it, it's so hard to see your way out of it. And because we had a pandemic, it was so easy to just think this is how I'm reacting to outside, external factors. Um, and then it got to the point where I didn't want to go to Channel 9 and do my work anymore. Now, I am not proud to say that I'm a workaholic, but it's something I do need to work on. But for me to not want to go to work, that is like a red flag, like a broken leg. So
Yeah.
what was happening was I was finding I could go to Channel 9, and what my job at Channel 9 is, I go in and I debate the news of the day with another journalist for about 20 minutes. So I found that I could rally. I could be the bubbly Shelley that everyone knows for that 20 minutes, but it took such a toll on me that I would drive home in floods of tears and I would have the worst negative self-talk. It was things that I would never say to another human being. Like I had like this screaming voice saying, you just embarrassed yourself on national TV. Your parents would be ashamed of you. You should probably quit your job before Channel 9 fires you because you're so stupid and incompetent. Like that's the sort of constant talk that I was getting. So one time after I had been on TV, I got home and I was just distraught. And my husband, Darren, who is an earth angel, he had been just trying to, mop up the tears and everything for the 9 months that I was like that. And then he finally sat me down and he said, I don't think there's anything wrong with you, but I think there might be something wrong with the chemicals in your brain. So why don't we go and see a doctor together? Oh, it's going to make me cry just remembering it. I think that was the kindest thing that anyone's ever said to me because I was hating myself so much. For him to say it wasn't my fault just was what I needed at the time. Oh, I'm so sorry. So, we made an appointment with a doctor who knows about perimenopause and menopause. And it's actually a friend of mine, Dr. Ginni Mansberg. But I had never wanted her to be my GP because you don't want to drink wine with a person who does pap tests, right? You've got to have some boundaries.
Yes.
So the great thing was Darren came with me to the appointment. And this is something that in my book, I'm Your Peri Godmother, I say is vital because I couldn't advocate for myself at that time. I was in no state. I basically just cried for the entire appointment. And Darren was the one who was saying, she's been like this for over 9 months. And it was also really hard because I felt shame because Ginny's my friend, but I didn't tell my friends I was like this. I just kind of withdrew. Um, Anyway, so Ginny then was like, babe, this is perimenopause. Like, this is treatable. I'm going to put you on some HRT and an antidepressant. Now, these days, they don't treat hormonal depression with an antidepressant. They just treat it with HRT. But again, this was 2020. And just 5 years later, we've got different information about it. I still think I needed that antidepressant because I was I was circling the drain. Anyway, so then once I got onto the medication and replaced my hormones, I started feeling better. Now, it was not a golden ticket. It was not, take it, you're fine, everything's great. I had to work hard. I was taking the HRT, taking the antidepressants. I was seeing a counselor. I started to improve my exercise. Like I did the work to get my mental health back. And it took a long time. But what happened was I then got a fire in my belly. And instead of being grateful that I finally had treatment, I got mad that I had nearly quit my job at the peak of my career, that I had basically lost almost a year of my life just because there wasn't enough education about perimenopause. So once I got a bit better, that's when Dr. Ginni and I decided that we should create a company called Don't Sweat It, which educates workplaces about perimenopause and menopause. And then on top of that, we developed what we call the Peri Posse. So they are, very influential menopause and perimenopause experts in Australia. And we were approached to go and speak in Parliament. So it was in March the 7th, 2023, that 7 of us went to Parliament, and we were part of the first ever parliamentary roundtable on menopause. And can you believe that 2023 was the first time that menopause had ever been mentioned in Australian Parliament?
Oh my goodness.
Doesn't that blow your mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
So from then, from that, there was a fair bit of publicity, and we all had meetings with politicians. I'm not a political person. I'm a swing voter. It's not my thing, but I was just so determined to make something happen. So I was meeting with politicians, and I became like this furious. Maybe it was a bit of meno rage, but at least I channeled it for good. And and from that, we then got the Senate inquiry. And from the Senate inquiry, we've just had the government announce that they are going to put $500 million into women's healthcare in Australia. And Labor has said that, but the coalition has said they will match it. So it's not even going to be just a political, football. So I feel pretty proud that I did all of that. And I also feel like I want to go back to me in 2020 and just give myself the biggest hug. And I just don't want anyone to go through what I went through. So it's been a really, really rough ride.
Oh,
I know
Shelly,
it's a lot to dump on you. I feel like I'm kind of
no,
trauma dumping, but that's
no.
what it was like for me. It was horrific.
But by you sharing, the women that listen to this, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And even you sharing, Shelley, I mean, timing probably wasn't great that it was the pandemic, because when you were talking, I was going, oh my gosh, Shelley was just gaslighting herself.
Yeah.
Because you didn't even, because
Yes.
at the time, because there was all of this external stuff happening. And also when no one has ever spoken about it, and I absolutely know all of us, I'm 49 in this age group where, yes, our mother, stiff upper lip. You don't talk about it, you get on with it, keep going. Meanwhile, they would have experienced to in whatever level they did. But
Yes.
now, fast forward to now when, like you mentioned, at the top of your career, you're having these thoughts. So many things I want to say, but your beautiful husband, and that word, someone advocating for you, what a beautiful man. And the
Yeah.
way that he held you so gently to say, there's nothing wrong with you, but I feel there's a chemical imbalance here, hormonal imbalance.
How did he even know to use those words? Like it just he is an earth angel. I'm very lucky to have him. And I feel like even though sometimes I cry, like I get triggered by it because it was such a horrible thing. Yeah, I'm allowed to cry over it. Like it was such a horrible experience and an unnecessary experience. So that's my thing, is like I slipped through the cracks, and I don't want other women to slip through the cracks. Now that I have been, banging on about it in Parliament and on TV and written a book, my mother and I have now shared a lot of her stories, and they were horrific, but she
Oh,
kept it to herself. So she doesn't mind me sharing this because I talk about it in the book. But so she was one of the women who was put into medical menopause because she had a hysterectomy. And those days, they just took your ovaries as well.
yeah.
These days, and this is a big message to anyone out there, if you have to have a hysterectomy, so be it. But please conserve your ovaries if you can, because they do such an important job with creating your hormones. So they just took everything. So she went into medical menopause, but she was put onto HRT. So she was actually quite well until the WHI study came out saying that HRT causes breast cancer, which has been completely debunked now.
Yeah.
But her GP just took her HRT and put it in the bin. So she just went straight back into medical menopause. It was, oh, I can't, she still gets hot sweats and hot flushes at 75. Her
Oh,
body has just never recovered from that. Before she had the hysterectomy, she was a primary school teacher in country Queensland, teaching grades 2 and 3. And heavy bleeding is very, very common in perimenopause. But she didn't know that either. And she was teaching the class, and she was sitting on, those plastic molded chairs, from
yeah.
schools. She was sitting on that, reading to the class. And all of a sudden she filled the chair with blood.
Oh,
And so they didn't have mobile phones back then, but she had a phone on her desk so she could reach that. And she was desperately hoping to speak to the secretary, but of course it went through to the elderly male principal. But you know what? He was a champion. His wife had been through it, so he knew. So he just came down to the classroom and said, "Guess what, grade 2 and 3? We're going bird watching. Everyone follow me." So took all the kids out of the classroom, and then the school secretary was there with some towels, and they mopped up all the blood. And because we were in country Queensland, Mum just drove home and had a shower and changed her clothes and came back. But she'd never shared that story with me. So it's that sort of thing where I'm like, secret women's business doesn't help women. We need to
no.
share the messy bits. We need to share the awful bits so that if something like that happens to you, you're like, oh, that's something I should speak to my GP about. Sounds like perimenopause. Like, just even being able to acknowledge what the symptoms are. It's so important. So
Mm.
it's been quite a journey for my relationship with my mother, because at first I was mad at her for not telling me, but now I'm mad for her that no one
Yeah.
helped her. No one helped her. No one, and her generation, they just weren't given the skills to talk about their feelings. They even hid it from their husbands.
Yeah.
And I just think, oh, that must be horrific.
So
So, yeah, so that's been, quite a lot. But again, this is where I'm happy to share my story because I know it will help other people.
absolutely. Your book is going to absolutely awareness and stories. And Shelley, we know that you have such a witty sense of humor. So no doubt you
Oh,
will
yeah.
deliver it to us with fun and play.
Let me tell you that there's a little bit of swearing in the book. There's a lot of jokes, but there's also, some tears. And then there's some world experts in perimenopause and menopause who I've interviewed giving expert advice. So I've sort of covered it all. But yeah, so the book's called I'm Your Peri Menopause, but the tagline says a fairy tale guide to kicking menopause in the ovaries.
I love it. I love
Because
it.
that's the kind of style, that's my style.
Yeah, that's because you're witty as. Now, I do want to ask, what do you wish you knew before? So right now, if you
Yeah.
were to go back to Shelley, pre-2020, what do you wish you knew?
So I think the biggest thing is I needed to know what perimenopause was, because I just thought menopause was grey-haired old ladies. They had some hot flushes and their period stopped. That's it. So I had no idea the impact of of perimenopause. So menopause is actually the easy bit. That's when all everything's spluttered to a halt, and it's much, much easier. Perimenopause, your ovaries are backfiring like an old car. So that sometimes you'll get heaps of estrogen and then none, and heaps, and then progesterone's up, and it's like an epileptic bumblebee. And that's what causes all of the mental health issues, because your brain's like consistent hormones. That's what causes the erratic periods, because it's like the ovaries are just, it's their last hurrah, before they retire. So I think for me, I wish that I had known about the breadth of the symptoms. That perimenopause can last 10 years, so it's not for old ladies. So the average age of menopause, now menopause is actually 1 day. it's 12 months exactly since your last period. And once you hit that day, then you're postmenopausal. So we're not even using the correct terminology.
No.
But perimenopause can last up to 10 years. So if 51 is the average for women going into menopause, it's 41 that you may start going into perimenopause. And for some women, it's even earlier. So that's just averages. So I think knowing that, I would have been more aware, recognizing the symptoms. And because I do feel like a lot of the symptoms can be written off as it's stress. I've got, teenage kids and I'm looking after elderly parents and I'm, running around doing the job and I've got the mental load of running a household. Like, women are really doing way too much, way too much. And the mental load that they carry, I think that it's very easy to feel like you're dropping the ball rather than your hormones are actually dropping the ball. And then I think the biggest advice I would give to myself and to anyone else listening is start tracking your symptoms. So keep a note of when your periods come, because I got to the point, even on HRT, where in 2003 to 4, I bled for 42 weeks out of 52.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I had about, each month I would have one heavy bleed and then I would just have spotting. And then September's always just a really busy month for me for work. And I had 6 weeks of day one flow, 6 weeks of it. So I was low in iron. I was very teary. I was trying to work at the same pace. And I now have learnt that I cannot keep working at that pace. I need to be kind to myself. So keep tracking those symptoms, tracking your moods, tracking when you have hot flushes. And it doesn't have to be anything special. I just write it in my phone, like in the Notes app. I just write it there. There are some free apps that help you track it, like the Balance app with Dr. Louise Newson from the UK. But for me, I just jotted it down. And jot down your moods when you have a particularly low moment, because often that can then be tracked to, oh, and then I bled 3 days later, you can
Yeah.
see the patterns. Because what I had to do is I felt like I had to present a case to my GP. Like, here's the symptoms, here are the patterns, look at this. And then I was already on HRT. So they were like tweaking it and trying this. And it's not a one size fits all. And some women won't need HRT at all. So I'm not even saying that you have to go on it. I'm just saying, don't not go on it because you think it causes breast cancer. See what you need. Some women, symptoms won't be too bad, so therefore they don't need it. But all of this, no matter what, is your evidence to see if you do need some help. And understand that GPs are not very educated about this. So if your GP is not listening to you, find another GP. And I can't stress that enough. I feel like it was doctor shopping, but in fact, I was doing a job interview to see if they were up to the job of looking after me. And most of them weren't. So I now have a GP here on the Gold Coast who I love, but it took 4 GPs for me to find her. Now I love her so much, and I tell everyone how great she is. She's had to close her books because she can't take on any more patients. But this is something that I love about the sisterhood, is when you do find a good health practitioner who really gets you, who acts as your teammate and wants you to be well, tell everyone, because they're rare. They're really rare.
Yeah. Good point, Shelley. Finding a GP and doctor shopping, we could call it that. But honestly, when someone's prescribing to you, get a hobby, that's a concern, because and look, she was clearly uneducated as well.
Yeah.
But thankfully now, because the sisterhood is sharing, and those who listen to this, if you're having, and some of these symptoms are weird ass. They are weird symptoms. I've heard girlfriends with itchy ears.
Itchy ears, itchy skin, some people with burning mouth, Like these are strange. But then there's also like irritable bowel or weight gain around the middle. Like there's all of these sleep disturbances. Like insomnia is, I believe the stat is 80% of women in perimenopause will have sleep disturbances. So that's either insomnia or getting night sweats. You know, women who are actually having to change their pajamas twice a night because they're just sweating through it. You don't have to put up with this. There are treatments available. So I think just making sure you're educated and understand that you might think it's a weird symptom, but in fact, it's probably perimenopause. And it just, there's no test for perimenopause. That's the other thing. I wish that a blood test would do it, but your hormones change every single day. Well, they change every hour, really. So a blood test is not going to tell you if you're in perimenopause, but presenting a case and showing a history will. So the doctor then has to use their smarts to look at you as a whole person and go, okay, this sounds like perimenopause. And the thing is too, like I say to people, if you think the symptoms are getting bad, don't wait until they get to my point where they are debilitating. If they're getting bad, go and see your GP, maybe go on to some HRT, and if it's not making a big difference, come off it. There's no reason to stay on it if it's not helping you. So I just sort of feel like there's still some very outdated thoughts of you must go on it at this stage and you must come off it. No, that's all been changing. The research is all changing. They now say that you don't even have to go off it at all, where it used to be once you turn 60 you'd have to go off it. Most of the menopause experts I've interviewed, like Dr. Mary Claire Haver from the US, who's got like 4.5 million followers on social media, she's like, I will be buried with my HRT patch on. Like, she's like, I am not giving it up ever. So you know, it's all changing, and it's really hard to stay up to date with all of it. But I think the more we talk about it, the less women will be sideswiped and the more they can just make an educated choice.
Yeah. And I like your approach about, and the whole theme this summer is building a better relationship with yourself. I like the approach, Shelley, of taking your own notes and monitoring it, because here's the other thing that happens with this perimenopause. You have a brain fart. You get in front of the doctor and the words
you can't remember.
You cannot remember. So I love this approach of actually tracking this. So then when you do actually get in front of that doctor and you start to talk about your relationship with your body and what you've noticed, even the weird ass things like the burning mouth, the itchy ears, all of the itchy skin, whatever it might be, share that, because like you say, they're looking at you as a whole. And I do want to talk about this words leaving our brain, Shelley. You are a journalist. You speak in front of people all the time. Your mental health, learning to trust your brain again, because I know myself as a podcaster and as working with women, it has rocked my confidence a bit when words will just leave me. And like I know, it's like you said, you know, the hormones are hopping and popping. And when we haven't got that one that's come into the brain to go, remember, this is your best friend, you're introducing them and you've forgotten their name. What the hoo-ha?
I know. So it actually happened to me on live TV, where I'm chatting to David Campbell and Sylvia Jeffries, and I was talking about my husband, and I went to say his name, and I forgot his name on national TV. Luckily, David Campbell knows us very well. He's like, you mean your husband, Darren Robinson? And I'm like, oh my God, that's grounds for divorce. Like, what am I going to do? So here's the thing. Brain fog affects so many women in perimenopause. And it's exactly what you said, Emma. It gives you that lack of confidence. You don't feel like you can trust your brain anymore. So there are a couple of things that I suggest women do when it comes to brain fog, because it's really interesting. When they look at the brain scans, there's not actually a massive impact on the brain. So it's not really affecting our memory or anything like that. It's just the hormone levels that are causing this. So you need to kind of have some strategies. For me, I put everything in my diary, everything. So oh my God, I had this example. So I sound like an asshole, but I just have to tell you this. So
you're not an asshole, Shelley.
So I was flying, you know, I do a lot of flying and work interstate, but I was flying back from Sydney to Brisbane to host the Dog Lovers Festival because I love my dogs. And I had done it the year before, and I knew I was staying at Ridges and it was in Fortitude Valley. So I got in the cab, didn't really pay much attention, got there, went to check in, and they're like, oh, you don't have a booking. I'm like, well, yes, I do. And I was a bit of an ass. I was like, check again. It's there. And I wasn't my best self, let's just say. I was not kind. And they ended up just booking me a room. And I got up there, had my dinner, went to bed, got up the next day, blow dried my hair, did my makeup, and found out that I was supposed to be at the Ridges in South Bank. I was in the wrong suburb. So not only did I have to get in a cab to get to the actual job, but I then had to go back and apologize to the receptionist who I had been very short with and say, that was all me and I am so sorry. And then I had to apologize to the other hotel because they wanted to charge me for the extra night that I didn't show up. And it was mortifying. But I'm like, that can't happen. So I can't just put the hotel in my diary anymore. It has to have the suburb and the exact address in it. I do the same thing if I'm having to do a presentation. I make sure I've got extra notes. I normally speak without notes. I'm very confident. No, I want the notes there because if I panic, I want to be able to look down and see where I am. The other thing is use post-it notes. Use, like whatever things help you, use them. But the other thing is if you're working with a team, tell your team. Because what I have found, particularly when I'm teaching about menopause in the workplace, is we need to support each other. So
Yes.
if you're getting up to give a presentation to a new client and you forget their name, you want someone else to jump in and go, well, Sarah, what Shelley's saying is, so that it covers for you. Because I think when you feel supported and you feel like you've got a bit of a safety net from the people around you, you get that confidence back. But it's really interesting because the International Menopause Society, which is based in Europe, they say that not only is there a glass ceiling for women, but there's a hormonal ceiling. And that's when you drop off a confidence cliff. And all of the studies that have been done show that your work doesn't actually suffer. You think it's worse. You think you're sounding like a fool. But in fact, most women cover for it pretty well. And it's a very female thing that we will criticize ourselves and be really hard on ourselves. Men will probably give them a promotion for, give themselves a promotion for getting through it. So it is one of those things where I think the more you share, the more that people are aware. And I think I've had a lot of, I'm child free by choice, but I have a lot of friends who are going through peri now and they've got families. Some of them handled it by making a joke, like, oh my God, mum's got brain fog. And they ended up finding that actually became a bit of a weapon where the kids would be like, oh my God, mum, you're so stupid. Or can't you even go to the shops without a shopping list? Don't let them weaponize it. Like, get them on board. Go, you know what? I am going to forget things. It's because of my hormones and I need your help. I think we sort of setting a few boundaries about what's okay to joke about and what's not. Because I think often as well, particularly with teenagers, you want to be fun and cool. So you do that by putting yourself down. And this is not a time to do that. This is a time to go, hey, I'm just hanging on. I need you guys to help me. We'll get through this together.
Yeah. I like that. Have people on board. Yeah, whether it be
Yeah.
your family or your colleagues. Absolutely. When you are having one of those moments where you're just tripping up. And I love that you have shared, Shelley, that it isn't actually our brain. It's just a little
No.
menopausal, I guess, a little menopausal flow that we must ride through, but we are not less smarter. And I understand what
No.
you're saying, because how many women do we hear? And if we look back at perhaps some older women in our life where we knew that they were at the top of their game, they were incredible women, and then that cliff drops off where you lose confidence in yourself. And then we hear women say, I became invisible because they felt, and like you exactly said, we are so hard on ourselves when the truth is we can get through this. We can keep moving forward, and we are as equally as valuable as we were when we were in full flow, pumping out hormones and ovulating and all that jazz. We are still equally as valuable And if it's HRT is the answer, or you want to try it, or you want to just
Or
merely
lifestyle changes. Like there are some really good lifestyle changes that I don't think I paid enough attention to.
Yeah.
So it is making sure, I mean, and I hate, and this is a body love summit, I hate weight. Like it's such a trigger for so many people. But I think you need to know that if you're in your healthy weight range, your symptoms won't be as bad. Not saying they won't be bad, but it helps. And that's just to do with how the body's processing hormones within your fat deposits and things like that.
Mhm.
So that's to hear, but those are the scientific facts. The other thing is you need to be exercising to be strong, not to be skinny. So
Yes.
one of the things when you lose estrogen and it seeps um, estrogen out of your bones, and so women are very, very prone to osteoporosis. If you go onto HRT, that actually keeps your bones strong. If you choose not to, then you know what? You've just got to do some strength training and you've got to lift heavy weights, which I have never wanted to do. I thought, oh, it'll make me bulky. I have only just started this year. But I am finding I feel so proud of myself. I feel proud of my body that I'm getting heavier weights each week. And I feel like I'm nourishing my body by getting strong. And we know that 50% of women will have a fracture thanks to osteoporosis in their lifetime. 50%.
A
So we
lot.
can bring those numbers down.
Mm.
And that's by
I
making sure that you look after your bones. And then you're also, because, you know, as well as lifting heavy weights, you need to be like, what I do is when I'm walking, I often wear a weighted vest because that just adds a little bit of extra pressure. But you need to look after your heart. All of this, our hormones help our heart, our brain, and our bones. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of that. And for me, whether you're on HRT or not, you need to be doing this. You need to
Yeah.
be caring for your body. And it's been a real mindset change for me because I think, particularly working in TV, which is very judgmental, there's still I'm a size 16 to 18, and there's like maybe 3 other women that size on TV in Australia, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It is
Can't
ridiculous.
be what you can't see. But at the same time now, I'm not thinking about it as a size. I'm thinking about I want to be strong. So I've got a healthy retirement. I want to be traveling with Darren. I want to be able to pick up the dogs. You know, like for a lot of women, it's like, I want to pick up the grandkids. You
Yeah.
need to get strong for that. So flipping your mindset from skinny to strong, I don't know, it feels empowering to me.
I agree. I love your skinny not strong. And it is about when you're talking through that, I like to say too, I'm the same as you, Shelley. I'm a size 16 to size 18. Can I just commend you and say thank you for representing our size range on TV? And when you say there's only probably 3 other women, there's part of me that feels quite sad about that,
Yeah.
but also hopeful because
Well,
we
when I
are,
started my career 30 years ago, there was zero on TV. So
yes.
I was working at this is I love an overshare, but it was 1999. So, you know, it was the very start of my career. And I was working at Channel 9 then full time on the Australian version of Entertainment Tonight before I got the gig with the overseas mob. Um, and I was quite thin then. I was like a size 12 to 14, which is the skinniest I've ever been in my life. Like I've never been a small girl. I also have massive boobs. So, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, I was taken off TV because I was too big. So I
Mm.
was on air for about 3 months and then they said, you're just not the right look for Channel 9. We're going to get you to do behind the scenes work. And then it was reinforced because one day I was producing, but I remember it so distinctly. I was wearing a white top and grey slacks. And I, because I'm a freaking genius, managed to sit on my red lipstick and get a waxy red stain on my butt. So I ran up to Channel 9 wardrobe because they have all of the clothes there. And I said, quick, I'm heading out to do an interview. I just need a pair of pants to borrow. I can wash them and bring them back tomorrow. I'm a size 14. And they just froze and looked at me and said, we might have something in the men's department. because no one on TV back then was like bigger than a size 6. And that sticks.
Yeah.
That took years of working on myself to recover. It nearly stopped me even wanting to work in television. So, like, thank you for saying thanks for being on TV, but it's not easy. And I
No,
still
no.
get trolled for my weight when I'm talking about something on TV that's got nothing to do with weight. It'll be a political statement and someone will go, "You're too fat to listen to." Like, I still get that in 2025. So it's sometimes really hard. And I think there will be a lot of women who wouldn't have the strength or I
Yeah.
think I need to be my age to handle it. Like
Yeah.
back then, those sort of comments would, have me in floods of tears.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, see you later. I'm just going to block you. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Your
Yeah.
opinion does not matter to me.
No.
So, yeah, it's not been easy, but it's also been important.
I also think what's nice to note here, and I don't know how you feel about this, Shelley, but I had a realization for a long time. I was probably a 14 and now I'm a 16 to 18. So I look back and 14 and always in my mind, and it's a little bit, and this is a strong word saying a bit of body dysmorphia. It's a strong word, but thinking that I was a big girl when the truth is I was a medium-sized woman. So even when we think of this, then when exactly what you've had to walk through and listen to and keep showing up, thank goodness you have enough you're rock solid. You've got a backbone, you've got a cast iron gut to keep showing up despite being these things being
Yep.
said to you about you, that you kept showing up. But even that, a size 14 and them not having those pants, you are a mid-sized woman.
Yeah.
You
And well, it's just an average Australian
an
woman.
average.
That's the average size for an Australian woman.
Yes, it is.
It is so frustrating. And it was actually we've got the latest Bridget Jones movie came out. Remember 20 years ago, she was considered fat and that she put on all that weight and she went up to what, a size 10?
Oh my
That was,
goodness.
and she was shamed for being that size. That's what Gen X women have put up with. That's
Yeah.
what we've been fed. So I think I'm very proud of Gen X for going, yeah, I had a really tough time with
Yeah.
everything that society fed me about my body. And now that I'm in perimenopause, I'm taking the narrative back. I'm
Yeah.
the one I'm going to listen to. I'm not going to listen to the external factors.
Yeah. And the strong not skinny, it really is now on your beautiful journey of weight. It's about body composition. You can still be a mid-sized woman. It is about body composition now. It is not a number on the scale. And yes, I absolutely hear what you say that yes, our journey is better if we are in a weight range. Absolutely. That's how it is. But it is about body composition here
Yeah.
and building that muscle. You can still be a mid-sized woman or a size 18, but if you are strong, like you're saying, if you can get up off the floor, I'm a yoga. I love yoga to
I
the
know.
come home.
I'm terrible at yoga. I love that you're good at it, but I'm terrible.
But this is how we've got to
Yeah.
think. It's strong. How can I be my
It's
best and my
mobility.
strongest?
It's
Yeah, it's mobility.
independence.
Yeah.
I put something up on my Insta the other day, which made me laugh, going, I'm at the gym so that I don't need someone to help me to get off the toilet when I'm older. However, I've worked so hard on my quads and my glutes, I'm falling onto the toilet right now.
That's
You
the
got to
thing.
put the hard work in. And so, yeah, it's going to hurt a bit,
I
but
love
you're investing in your older, stronger self. So
Yeah.
it's
And it
worth it.
feels good. And it's
It
great. Back to
does.
that confidence.
Yeah.
It also plays into the confidence. So when we all show up in whatever our gift and our talent is, our vocation, we get to show up in that confidence, building that confidence. Before we finish, Shelley, there is one thing that I do want you to share about, because I actually love seeing this on Instagram when you post this, and it is a lifestyle change that you've taken on. playing back into your stress and being a workaholic, your 0 day. Can
Yes.
you talk women through the 0 day? Because I look at that and I think you are brilliant and I want to adopt this, because I feel like
Yes.
if we look at all these moving pieces as the menopause, perimenopause, gaslighting ourselves, keep working, get to the gym, do all the things, can you please share with us this lifestyle shift? Because I think it's brilliant.
So this is something that I've only adopted in the last year. Like, it's new for me because as I said, I work way too hard, and that's something I am realizing that's not something to get a medal for. Like, that's actually ridiculous. I work myself into the ground. So because I wasn't bouncing back like I used to, like I used to be able to MC in a 2-day conference and then the next day, be on TV or whatever. I just was finding I was falling into a bit of a heap with that. And I then decided that I need to give myself a 0 day. Now, my dream is to have 1 0 day a week. That rarely happens. I've got to be honest. It's mainly once a fortnight, but I'm still very proud of it being once a fortnight. So I run my own business, so I could work every single minute of every day because that's what we do. A 0 day, no emails, no work. I also make sure that's the day I don't have to go and do the food shopping and all the life admin and all of that sort of stuff. I do that on the Saturday, get everything done, and I just chill out. I go for a walk with my puppies on the beach, and then I will be, watching I'll be watching Grey's Anatomy. I'll be catching up on whatever TV I missed during the week. I nap because, how good is a nap? Like, we just don't nap anymore. So I actually make the time for a nap, and I just make sure that I've got nourishing food in the house. So again, I'm not prepping for the week that's coming up or anything. Like, nothing can feel like work. Now I find by having that one day, my battery is back up to 100. Whereas before it's probably sitting at 13%, I have had some girlfriends who've got small kids going, I don't know how I can do a 0 day because I've got kids and I have to run around after them. And one of my girlfriends adapted it, which I loved. She said, I call it a 0 in, 0 out day. So no play dates and no kids coming over. It's a day where we just spend it at home as a family, and it might be watching a movie, it might be playing a board game, or it might be gardening, whatever it is, it's 0 in, 0 out. And she said that that has really helped her family and given her a bit of, time back as well. So I'm a big advocate for 0 days. I had one yesterday, and don't feel guilty about it. I have so many women who feel guilty if they're not busy all the time. And in fact, you're not going to be bringing your best self if you're exhausted. So having a day to replenish and refresh and recharge, you're worth it. You are absolutely worth it. And your family and your colleagues and your friends will appreciate that you are your best self rather than the exhausted bags under the eyes, just dragging yourself through another week.
Yeah, I love your 0 day. And every time I see it, I go, it's great. The other thing I want to say about the 0 day too is, and the battery, I know in myself, my creativity and my intuition,
Oh,
when I am
yes.
on low battery, I am actually not at optimal because I haven't allowed that space for the creativity or for the idea or for when we are always pushing, it's detrimental to our flow as
Yes.
well.
I
For
had that
output.
breakthrough a couple of years ago when I went to a health retreat and they confiscated my phone. I'm like, oh, what? But by not constantly entertaining myself or working or whatever with my phone, I had all of these story ideas come to me. I had all of these business plans, and it was like a floodgate. It was a floodgate. And I was so shocked that I didn't let myself get to that stage of peace where new ideas can come in without you like having to sit down and try and force them and brainstorm. They just flow in. So 0 days definitely help with that as well.
I love your 0. I think maybe part of your next time you go to Parliament, I think with your perimenopausal support for us women, I think you need to be advocating for a 0 day.
0 days.
And even I like how even depends what stage of life you're in and what your commitments and responsibilities are. There is a way you can adapt 0 day
Adapt it.
without a doubt. Yeah. And like you said, once a week, okay, that could be a challenge to start
Yeah.
with, but once a fortnight, that is a great aim.
Yeah.
Great aim.
And even if you're a busy mum, maybe tag team with another busy mum and say, this fortnight, I'll take your kids so you can have a 0 day. And then the next fortnight, you take mine. Like do what you have to do,
Yeah.
negotiate, barter. If you've
Yeah.
got a supportive husband, which I hope is, co-parenting, not babysitting, make sure that you say, I need a 0 day. So you take Saturday, I'll take Sunday, like whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, even if it's like I can't fathom getting an entire day, have a morning. Just have a morning.
Yeah.
Something that's for you. Because
Start
I
somewhere.
think once you start doing it and you get into a pattern, the benefits are so incredible that you'll want to find that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the work, is actually choosing that for yourself.
Yeah.
Shelley, it has been an absolute pleasure. I would like you to share your I'm Your Peri Godmother. I'm going to put the link, of course, because
Yes.
pre-sale will be available. So we will be
Yes.
going live at the end of March, the start of April. So there will be a link in this video for you to pre-order I'm Your Peri Godmother. Now tell me the tagline again about your ovaries.
It's a fairy tale guide to kicking perimenopause in the ovaries. Yeah.
Ovaries.
I'm still learning
You
it
still, yes,
myself.
of course.
It's hilarious. So it's out July 29. So if you pre-order it, it won't be very long before it arrives at your doorstep, and then it'll be in bookstores in August, basically. So thank you so much for letting me plug it, because sometimes it feels awkward,
No.
plugging something like that. But I actually love that it's women supporting women, and I think that this book will help a lot of women, and it's pretty funny.
Yes, because you are funny. You're highly entertaining. You're gorgeous. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shelley. I can't wait to read your book. I cannot wait to have a good laugh and the real talk and what you've shared today, just from the heart, because this is the truth. This is,
Yeah.
and you have had quite a journey, and but like you said, 20% of women and then a smaller percent go through this in a really full-on way. And
Mm.
also, like you said, keeping our eye out on our mates. If someone's retracting,
Yes.
like your normal, someone retracting, and let's hope everyone's got a beautiful partner like you around them that actually says, hey, you can get some help. Because I loved, your advice around get some help. And if you have to see a few different people, please do, because there is help. And the tracking your own.
Tracking is really important. Yeah.
Yeah. Some
In my
great.
book, I've even got some guidelines on how to track, and I've also got some notes for your caring for a peri loved one. So whether it's your female partner or male partner or friend or sister, it gives you some information so that you're keeping an eye out. Because as I said, sometimes when you're in it, you can't even really see it. So we've all got to just look out for each other and help each other.
We do. Shelley, again, our beautiful Peri Godmother. Thank you so much. It has been it's always lovely to chat to you. You're just such an incredible woman. And thank you. Thank you for your work for other women. Thank you for showing up on TV as you. You are incredible. Thank you, my love.
Thank you for having me.